Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Radash, and double honor to the apostles and elders, great millstone. Shalom to the I teaching his word throughout the four corners and true sincerity. Back on the lesson through the sermon, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, only be edifying unto the elect. Alright, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means he is, or he exists. The name of his son, who the world calls Jesus, is not Jesus. Alright, it's Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers. Alright, and again, lo, in this lesson be edifying unto the elect, and the elect consists of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Alright, the chosen. Alright, who don't know whom the Lord is coming back to save in these last days, because they are the ones that are going to be sighing and crying for all the abominations that is being done in the midst thereof. Alright, that's why you see, the men of the Lord in the downtown areas, and the men that you see that's screaming at the top of their lungs, alright, telling you that you will fucking die, alright, nigga, looking crazy. Alright, we are the, men of the Lord. Alright, the prophets, okay, are sent out to the four corners of the earth to teach a message. Alright, and as you can see, the condition of the earth, something very major, alright, it's happening. Alright, something very major is happening. You can feel it. Okay, it feels like the end. Alright, it feels like something big is about to happen, something great and glorious is about to happen. Alright, because we're coming into, again, a role reverse and a return of the only begotten. Alright, the Prince of Peace. Okay, the Son of God, Yahweh Shai, is about to return. But before that happens, certain prophecies must take place, and certain things, alright, need to happen. Alright, since, famines and pestilences and judgments and civil wars need to happen before that happens. Alright, but I'm going to start with Jeremiah 28:8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old both prophesied, of old both against Slakia. It's the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old both Slakia, of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of pestilence, and of Slakia, of war and of evil and of pestilence. So, this is nothing new. The job of the prophets was to basically prophesy, all right, what's in the scriptures. And the prophesy of the end times, of the war, World War III, the evils, the bad times that are about to happen. All right, the pestilence, all right, that the Lord's going to send out throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, but I mainly want to focus on the bad times that are going to happen. All right, namely, honing in on, civil war. Okay, civil war. All right, because civil war, all right, is basically a clash between. Well, let's just search it up to be correct, right? Just to get the word. What is a civil war? All right, let's get chat. All right, let's get chat to give us the definition. It says a civil war is when people within the same country fight each other for control, power, or major political, ethnic, or religious regions. It says think of it like this: it's not one country versus another country. It's citizens versus citizens, often split into groups or sides, right? And there's a major, side choosing going on right now. With those that are with what ICE is doing and those that are against what ICE, is doing. All right, and even more definition says the country's peoples are deeply divided and the government can't keep control. All right, people are divided now. All right, and they've been divided, but now it's just growing. All right, mainly because of DJ Trump. It says the conflict turns violent and organized. All right. It says common reasons will start power struggles, ethnic and religious tensions, economic equality, which will support political oppression, loss of trust in the government. Okay. It says civil war equal long-term organized fighting with armies or militias. Okay. And this is what we're coming into. We even have many militia groups now saying that, online, saying that if ICE pulls up, they got AK-47s, waiting for them. And these are signs of what's to come in the future. All right, a rise up against, the government And this is scriptural, right? I'm not just, we're not just saying this is in the Bible. It's Isaiah 19 and 2. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. All right, and there's going to be multiple reasons why there's going to be a civil war, why there's going to be brothers fighting against brothers, kingdom against kingdoms, city against city, American, the citizen against the citizen, not only because of ICE, but of the condition of how everything is going to be, the lack of food and bread and just to survive. All right, you think they make these movies, The Purge, Forever Purge, for no reason. All right, they're bringing it to life of what's to happen in the future. All right. And Second Esdras, what is that? 15. Second Esdras 15. It's 15. It says, I'm gonna start at 14. It says, "Woe to the world," and woe means destruction. So destruction to the world and them that dwell therein. All right, because this is what the Lord wants to do. He wants to bring about destruction and death and judgment. It says, "For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh." Right, it's drawing nigh. All right, it's drawing nigh. And you can see it, right? I have this article, Civil Unrest, says thousands arrested in Minnesota crackdown as admin vows we won't back down. All right, hundreds of anti-ICE agitators shut down city streets in Portland, confront federal agents. Violent mob swarms federal detention center as LA protest spirals out of control. Arrest Dawn Limited over Minnesota church protests. All right, Alex Pretty seen spitting at ICE agents and smashing federal SUVs, taillights, and shocking finish taking 11 days before he was shot dead. All right, anti-Trump No Kings protest organizers target Minneapolis, St. Paul for next flagship demonstration. So, this is all right. Drawing nigh is only going to increase. All right, this is a kingdom divided against itself. And it says in Matthew 12 and 26, says, "If Satan cast out Satan, he's dividing against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand?" All right, so another one, Luke 11 and 18. Well, remember all of them actually. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but at an end. If Satan is also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? How? Because he said, "I cast out devils through Beelzebub." And another one. Yeah. It's like I'm brain fart. But not. Kingdom. I'm thinking about nation. It's like, yeah. Mark 3:24 says, "If a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand." So, this is a kingdom divided. The line is being drawn in the sand. All right, people are gonna, slowly but surely choose sides in the future because of their own belief systems of what they choose is right and what is wrong, and it's only going to increase. It's just happening through the way of, Donald Trump's, stirring the pot and having it that it's really the Lord, making it happen behind the scenes. All right. Civil war is not a light thing. That's a complete, as it said, is what it says, the loss of trust in the government. So if that happens, all right, scriptures also saying, Esdras, that they shall not regard, they're not going to regard their kings on their priests because of lack of bread. Read it again, 2 Esdras 15 and 15. "For the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. There shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So, coming against high officials, your senators and Republicans, your politicians, they're not going to give a fuck anymore. They're not care what Trump has to say because lack of bread. All right. Like a bread and just them just being against. All right. Jake. All right. You have even now a division with on YouTube. You have people debating against one another. People are just blindly following DJ Trump. Edomites. All right. The liberals versus the communists. I forgot the the word. Right, they just following Trump because they just plain out saying that they did that. The man just said you're not even what you say. You're just being a racist. He said, "Dang, so be it." So you already see the spread. These people they're just ready, to come against Jake. He's looking for a reason, and especially while hell break loose. All right, Jake not just gonna lay down and just let it happen. They go fight back. All right. It says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, because these martial law troops are going to shut down these cities. We're going to have 10 many cities as well. Won't be able to go to city, won't be as freely as it is now. All right. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Right. All right. Men shall be afraid. Because they're not going to know what the fuck is going on. It's really the Lord causing it to happen. It's judgment from Yahweh Shema Shai. He says, and man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. Right? This is not regular activity. All right, you don't see people doing that now. All right, you don't see people just going out and just going inside their house, looting their house. All right, having them at gunpoint, give me what you got, what's in here. All right, you don't see that. You see it. But in this type of fashion, it's gonna be an increase. This is spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for a great tribulation. And that great tribulation is coming from Yahweh Shema Shai. Alright. But it's it's already a division now, so it's only going to, grow. Alright. 2 Esdras 16 and 17 says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. This is Esdras saying who will deliver him in those days, because it's gonna be so hard to bear. We're gonna need divine intervention. This is the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Right, it's only the beginning. Alright, it's only gonna get worse and worse. They're killing U.S. citizens now. People are getting more in the uproar. There's upwards of the people. It's a sign. That's a sign from the Lord that He's visiting the earth. Alright, it's only going to increase. They already have it that they're buying the attention center. So, we getting closer and closer, man. Alright, just any day now. We just waiting for that MOTB to get implemented, and we out this bitch. Alright, excuse my language, but hey, we tired, and we see these prophecies, every day. Okay, and it's happening more frequently. And the love of many is waxing colder and colder by the day. All right, things that Yahushua told us to look for, before his return. But that alone is lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Chakwadash and the ones of the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom to the Akim teaching this word throughout the four corners in truth and sincerity. Akim was out of here. Shalom. Bro, I forgot my charge.